good evening, everyone. Welcome to Talking with 3D. I am your host, Derek Durrell Dixon. This is Real Talk for Real People. And I am so excited to invite my friends to be here today. Dr. Eric Holmes is with me today. I always love enjoying speaking with Dr. Eric Holmes. He is such an inspiration to me, and my life has always just given me support and just backing me in a lot of things that I do. And I love just to make sure that I am surrounded with people such as him, because of the fact that you always, even times when you may, he may not know that I needed something or needed to hear something at that moment. I don't even have to call him. He just knows just to give me an inspirational word, and I appreciate him and everything that he does. He follows me. He just promotes a lot of things that I do, and I just really appreciate him. So welcome to the show, Dr. Eric Holmes. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good, Mr. D. Everybody I know, I call it Mr. D, but thank you for that. I am great, doing wonderful, and thank you for that, because as I always say, iron sharpens iron, and we are
Yes.
brothers and sisters keeper, and I always share that and push that we've got to help one another, encourage one another, because even the strong need encouragement, even the strong need to be inspired. And because we are ones that do a lot, sometimes it's just good for somebody to say, you know what, thank you, or just, you inspired me. And so I appreciate that, as well as you inspiring. A lot of things that you're doing is an encouragement in all the work that you're doing to make a difference and make an impact. So thank you. I'm doing great. And thank you also for having me back on your show.
Yes. I had him on our show when we had Helping Brothers Out, and now I have my new show, Talking with 3D, and I had just called him just the other day and invited him to be on the show. He didn't hesitate. It was like, yes, I'll be there when you need me. Then I had to change the date. No problem, sure, I'm flexible. What do you need? So I am just grateful about the fact that, you know what, you always, anytime that I call you or anything that I ask of you, you always are there for me. So I truly do. I really appreciate you. And like you say, iron sharpens iron. And that's what we are here to do. That's what we have to do is lift each other up. It's not about, there's no competition. There's nothing like that. Let's work together, because here we are to better the community, to improve the community. But also, it helps us as people, because you teach me things, I may teach you things, so therefore we work together. So I truly appreciate that. And again, I'm very excited that you are here today. We always have great conversation, so I'm excited to have you here on Talking with 3D. So again, welcome, Dr. Eric Holmes. Listen, let me tell you a little bit about him. He is the senior coordinator in the department at Johns Hopkins here in Baltimore, Maryland. He's earned a number of awards: the Edward Haley, the Martin Luther King Award, the Employee of the Year. He's also earned a bachelor's and master's in biblical studies. He's also featured in the Enoch Pratt Library, author of Power of the Seed. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you don't know Dr. Eric Holmes, you will know Dr. Eric Holmes tonight, because I'm pretty sure that if you need to be tuned in, make sure that everybody is watching this show tonight. Make sure that you click this video, click it, like it, love it, share it. Make sure that everybody is joining in. And if you have questions for Dr. Eric Holmes, I'm going to make sure that you know how to reach him. And we'll give out all that information of all his platforms. So, Dr. Eric Holmes, tell us just a little bit more about you and your position and what you do down in the department down at Johns Hopkins.
In the department, I've worked in many departments in the institution of Johns Hopkins, which I love where I work at. It's been a career move and in a journey for going on 25 years. I'm getting ready to hit 25 years. And so I
Wow.
worked in so many different departments, worked in radiology for the longest, for 17 years, our ER department, our division of hospital medicine, and now in the ENT department, which is otolaryngology, which deals with ear, nose, and throat. So as one of the senior patient coordinators, what we do all of the legwork, the registration, the check-in, we do, processing them in, co-pays, we just do from A to Z. But it is awesome being able to work in this institution. That's been a blessing, the journey, and with anything that you do in life, you'll have things that you deal with, but the greater thing is the outcome of it all. The good will always outweigh the bad. And so I've been blessed and favored to be in, at all the awards that I've been blessed and favored. I always tell people that song, let me take a few moments and brag on my God, because it's all about him. And a lot of times when you're sharing things, people think that you're bragging, but as the late Apostle Evans would always say to us, never apologize for being favored and blessed.
That's right. That's right.
Listen, this came with a call. So even as my bishop says, you got bragging rights. And it's to God be the glory. It's when we take the focus off him, but it's also for others to see that there's something that they could strive for. Example, today, a young lady messaged me and said, wow, I'm just returning back to Hopkins after being gone. She was there from 1999 to 2004. She said, well, wow, but I'm sitting in orientation. And what am I seeing in this customer service video but you? So she sent me a message and said, well, thank you, because that really encouraged me. You're still here. Had no idea. So that was back in 2004. I hadn't seen her, but you never know who's watching and who sees. And so with that being said, it's a privilege to even be featured, because everybody that comes to the institution in orientation, they're going to see me in this video, as well as on the website. So it's a privilege. So I enjoy what I do, even all the departments that I worked in. And it's a blessing because it's career. We came up, we had this, I had to talk with the nurse when we came to work, in our work ethics, it's about a career, not that we come, we leave, we move. At this whole generation now, there's no stability, but we came with the mindset, this was our career, and we were going to learn, we were going to grow. And so I'm just grateful to be there.
And for 25 years, let me tell you something, you don't hear a lot of people saying, I've been in this career for 25 years. So, you're right. The work ethics have changed tremendously, that, people, they get on a job, it's this generation. And we're not talking bad about this generation, but the fact is that, reality is reality.
Yes.
They get on a job and they think, oh no, this is not for me. And they move on to a different career, and they get on that, and something happens, they move on to a different career. And the thing nowadays is that you don't even work in the field. They don't even stay in the field. 1 minute they're at the post office, 1 minute they're at, they're working fast food. So, it's like they're all over the place. And we do have to teach our generation now, is that you got to stay focused.
Yes.
And you have to love and have the passion of what you do. You don't win the Martin Luther King Award. You don't win Employee of the Year Award when you're not focused and you don't love and have the passion for what you do. And I love what you said, Dr. Holmes, when you said that, it's okay to have bragging rights for yourself.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people that are not going to love you for you. They're not going to love what you do. So it is okay to have bragging rights for yourself. It's okay to get up in the morning and look yourself in that mirror and say, you know what, you're the best thing that's happened today. It's okay to do that. So, and I know that you can have encouraged a lot of people to have that mentality and have that mindset. How did you get to that place where you even had that mindset?
one of the, like you said before, you have to surround yourself. Like, I'm the director of recruitment for Life Coach School of Arkansas. And so what I share with the coaches, you know, is that you got to know who's in your circle and who's on your team. You got to surround
Mm,
yourself with people with like-minded, and also people that can help you, push you, support you, you know, and to be able to guide you and direct you. And so you got to
mhm.
make sure you are with people that have that positivity, and, you know, making sure good and give good feedback, you know,
Right.
okay, this is not right. You should, you know, because when it's done out of love, and the feedback that they give and what they share, you know, because I don't want to be with someone that would always agree. And if I done something, they just going to agree with me. No,
Right.
because we got to share that truth. We got to share that information. But when it's done in love, when it's done right, you know, we can receive it. And so I make sure I surround myself, and God has really been shifting and moving with a lot of new uh divine connections in
Yes.
this season, and, you know, in this, in my life where I am now. And it's people that I have not even met in person, for a lot of them, you
Mm,
know, and they're influential. Like, I never met in person Dr. Will Moreland, but oh, he is one of the most inspirational people that always is encouraging me. Or Sir Clyde Rivers, I met him for the first time in July when I
mhm.
was given the one of the World Civility Awards. And so to meet so many people that God has divinely, and they were just speaking and encouraging, saying, you know,
Right.
it was a blessing. And so you got to surround yourself. And so you got to shift your mind. You got to shift your perspective. And because when people don't think like you, or, and everybody thinks different, but when your perception is different, when your vision is different, when your mind,
Right.
I always declare I'm going to be a billionaire. I always speak. I
Yeah.
don't care what it looks like. I'm going to speak victory. I don't care how it seems. I'm going to say I'm an overcomer, like my pastor preached. I'm an overcomer. It doesn't matter what it looks like. You got to
Right.
speak, because what we decree and declare out of our mouth, it's going to manifest. So it does not matter. And then I know growing up, my mother, my family, you know, it was 8 of us, but it was always taught to be successful, always that encouraging us to be
Mm,
and to do. And so, you know, it started from the foundation of the family,
right.
which we need to get back to. And
Right.
so that's a blessing. And in like last week, I was able to go share to young successful leaders with one of my brothers, Brandon, with his organization, sharing to these young group of leaders about entrepreneurs and being business owners and education. Make sure you get
Mhm.
that. But while you're building somebody else's, make sure you build yours.
That
And
you
it was a
built yours.
blessing,
Right.
because we got to pour into them and to
Right.
help them and support them, and so they can be successful.
Yes. Listen, there's also, and you know, we have to say this because there's also always going to be a wolf that gets into the sheep's den, you know, always. And because we can't make people think that, you know, oh, it's always going to be this and that and you know, roses all the time.
Right.
How do you deal with when that wolf gets into the sheep's den?
I said this too, and I just before I got on here, I'm be part of a docu-series, and I am the life coach for an individual. And everything confidential, because it's going to be aired once everything is finished with the editors.
Okay.
And I said to them that, first of all, it's a mindset. And I said, you got to treat people with a grain of salt and a long handled
Right.
spoon. He said, well, what does that mean? I never heard that. I said, my mother always said this. Treat
Right.
him with a grain of salt and a long handled spoon. So I begin to tell him, sometimes you got to love people from a distance. We got to love because the word tells us we have to
Right.
do that. You know, we got to
Hmm.
follow peace with all men. But here it is, the discernment. And when I know people are not for me, when I know, you know, people are not celebrating, that's why I celebrate myself. I don't wait
That's
on
right.
people to
Come
celebrate.
on now.
And because my mother taught us, you know, and to be strong, and taught us, you know, to be go what after we need. And, you know, those, my sister and my brothers, because I'm number 7 out of 8. So I had
Mm,
older brothers and sisters as well. And so the thing is, it started then, so it didn't just start now. So, but I'm more even in the spiritual aspect of discerning, and then because I'm a prayer warrior and intercessor, he's going to show you. And so, if I really know that you're not happy, I'm gonna love you, but I know the distance. I'm
Yes.
going to love you, but I know to treat you with a grain of salt and a long-handled spoon, because here it is in the kingdom world. We don't celebrate people enough.
Right.
In that kingdom world,
Do
because
not
I'm
give
telling
them
you,
the accolades that they need, and it is so true.
it is, and we've got to learn that we're helpers one to. That's what the word says.
Yes.
And I remember so many people that I am divinely, because it's about divine connections for me, the power of collaboration, the power of networking. So many people that have supported me in this season. I mean, prominent people from across the country. I was just in a book with leaders from across this country. And when we did the book release, Sir Clyde said, let me introduce him. I almost couldn't speak behind him because of the introduction was so heartwarming. And he said, no, you belong here.
Wow.
And I had just met him for the first, no, I had met him then. It wasn't until July. But now he's being enthroned next month as a king in God.
Wow.
So the divine connections.
Yeah.
And he said, listen, you are so, I mean, just last week, I was in this training session. Dr. Will says, listen, there's so much to you, Dr. E. And so all of these people, I could know people for 20, 30 years that don't support like that. And it's okay, because I've learned to turn the chapter and turn the page. And one of my t-shirt lines said, it's not personal, it's just purpose.
And see, you saying something right there. Right there, you're saying something. It's not personal. And a lot of people don't understand when your season with that, whatever is over, it's not personal. It's not that I dislike you, that it's just the fact that that part of my life it's over. You're not over, because you need to go on with your next season. But it's not personal. And people, that's what I think it comes with maturity, because without that, a lot of people want to think, he don't like me for this. She don't like me for this. It's not personal. It's the fact that it is time for, our growth. I'm growing as a person. You're growing as a person. We're growing apart. It's just time for us to move on to whatever we're moving on to. So I'm so glad that you just said that it is not personal. Don't take it personal. And I know so many people that I've had, relationships with. We may not be as tight and close as we used to be. But the fact is that, you know what? I still love you, but I love you, like you just said, I love you from a distance. And there's a reason for that. So a lot of times you have to protect the new surroundings that you have. You have to protect you as a person. Celebrate you first. And I have learned that. Dr. Holmes, it's taken me a long time to learn to love me first.
Yes.
Because I'm always giving to so many other people.
Yes.
We're going to come right back, Dr. Holmes. Listen, we're going to just step away real quick. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You are here watching Talking with 3D. I am here with Dr. Eric Holmes, and this is Real Talk for Real People. Get a snack, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I should have locked you up and just let you out to work.
The jail you plan for me is the one you're gonna rot in.
See me, get in the car, get in the car.
I knocked you up on.
Everything you've done to me, already done to you.
Because I love you. I want to be your only guy.
Because I love you, skip class with me. Let's stay in bed today.
Because I love you, I just want to be with you so freaking much.
Because I love you.
I waited for you after Chem Lab.
You were walking with Mark?
Because I love you.
You shouldn't be hanging out with that dude.
You should know how dumb that makes me look.
I don't care if she's your lab partner.
Why do you have texts from him?
Because I love you. This number,
Delete.
Because I love you. This Jason number,
delete.
And Ben,
Delete.
because I love you, I should smash your phone.
I'll let you give me your password instead.
Because I love you.
I will check your texts every day.
You got lucky. Because I love you. Because I love you.
You think it's okay.
Because I love you. You understand.
because I love you, you stop talking to your classmates and you feel completely alone.
Because I love you. That's not love.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talking with 3D. Again, I am your host, Derek Durrell Dixon. I am here with Dr. Eric Holmes. This is Real Talk for Real People, ladies and gentlemen. We just been chatting it up. I thank you again, Dr. Holmes, for coming on. We're going to talk about the book, The Power of the Seed. Tell us about what we can learn about the power of the seed.
Wow, it's always a pleasure being on here, and I'm so humble and grateful for you, Mr. D. I just love it, the real talk for real people, because people need to hear realness and the reality of life.
Yes.
You know, and we really have to understand that so many people need to hear real things and see it from the example that we are to others. And so even with the power of the seed, it helps people to understand really, one, how powerful the seed is, and that everything starts with a seed, even Christ being the ultimate seed for us. But everything starts with a seed. And so I help them from the natural aspect and the biblical aspect, you know, as understanding from the agriculture, as I study for my doctoral program in Jewish history, from the agriculture and the laws of the harvest and, you know, seed time and harvest, because I look at you and all that I've watched you through the years, you planted, you sown, but now that you're in this season, it didn't just start just now. It didn't just start overnight. As a billionaire said to me, he said, Dr. E, success happens over time, not overnight. Just keep showing up. So Mr. D, you showed up. People look at you now, but this didn't just start. You've planted, you sown, you seeded, and that's that the seed was germinating through the underground process to get to the set time and season. And so I want people to understand and know, and it's that rule of reciprocity, even as Galatians 6 and 7 said, be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he reap. That's why we got to be careful what we seed and what we sow. It's coming back, good or bad. And so even with the power of the seed, it helps you that before I can get to this season in my life, this harvest season, this dude, I have gone through the process, the preparation. The farmer can never see a harvest if he doesn't plant. Well, first he got to get the ground ready. So he got to go through all this preparation and making sure that the soil is ready and turning over the dirt. And then he can plant seed. And so, but here's the whole thing. What I want people to understand is God gave me this message. He said, don't get stuck in the middle of the process. You got to see it all the way to the end. And we get stuck in the middle because guess what? The farmer, the important part of it is the middle process. Why is it so important? Because it's got to be watered, it's got to be nurtured, it's got to be harvested in order that seed continues to germinate through the underground process. And here it is to get to the set time and season to produce that which he's sown. But guess what? It may not even be the same year. So what he have to do, he's got to start it all over again. And so on the spiritual side, for the believers, we're seeding, we're planting, we're looking for a harvest. But guess what? It's not just in money. It is seed that we're planting. It might be for the lives of your children, your grandchildren, for their college, for healing, because I've named my seed. And so when it comes to that seed time and harvest, here's the thing. You can't rush the process. You couldn't
Right.
rush all that God is allowing you to write plays, and you've been doing all this for years, and putting on shows and read to help autism and all of this that you're doing. Guess what? It was process. It was preparation. It was planning, it was seeding. Even when it looked like there was lack or it wasn't going to grow, or I tell you, when it looks like the seed is not moving or the harvest is not coming, you still got to keep on planning. You still got to keep on sowing. And so even when it comes to giving, it's a part of worship.
That's
Our
right.
culture always thinks it's
Yes.
about money. But if I'm
Yes.
planting seed and to good ground, of course, when we come, we bring our tithes, we bring our
Right.
offering, but it's your time, your talent, your time. So it's more
Yes.
ways than just we're thinking that it's money. Our mindset has got to be shifted from that. So the book is going to allow you to see there's a whole, in my book, I remember one of the illustrations I gave to 4 college students, not knowing God, when he said, if you invest now, you'll see the dividends later. I didn't understand it. But when I would bless them each month, me and my first lady, we would bless them each month. Guess
Right.
what? Every single one of them have finished college.
See.
And the last one just graduated in May. And I said, it hit me standing right there. And one of the young men, I said, oh my God, not only did he graduate, but he came out with a job, a wonderful career job. And so then the other one just went and doing their master's. And then the other one has got a business. And it didn't dawn on me. I was standing in the back, and then I got emotional because I said, wow, I wrote this in this book.
See.
I sowed, I seeded, not just with prayers, but in finance, so we can help them. And it allows us to know that I've planted, but look at the harvest, look at the fruit. And so it was timing and season. We didn't rush it because they had 4 years, each of them had 4 years to do. And so even see for the one that's going back to get the master's, it is a blessing because I said, wow, God allowed me to play a part into seed, into their schooling, their education, and so we look at this whole process that in Genesis 8:20, he says, as long as the earth remains, there shall be seed, time, and harvest. Isaiah says 55:10, listen, he gives seed to the sower. But then when Paul picks it up in Galatians 6:9, he said, listen, you don't have to get weary. You got a harvest coming. Just don't faint. So this is not the season to faint. So this book is going to help you. Don't faint, because at the end of it, at the conclusion, there's a harvest. There's a due season. There's something that I'm seeing of what I've planted, what I've sown, what I've gone through, the whole process and preparation. When I wrote this book right before the release, my mother transitioned, but I could hear her say quitting is not an option. And so I had to continue with this because now so many people are being blessed by it. And I teach it a lot of places. So the power of the seed is going to help you to understand and to clue how powerful the seed really is.
Y'all just don't understand why I love Dr. Eric Holmes. He got me so pumped. I'm just hoping y'all have pen and paper. He has dropped so many jewels right now that if you didn't catch them, you got to go do the replay over and over and over again. The one thing I want you to elaborate on, because a lot of people think when you plant seed, and you said you can plant the good and the bad. So if you don't understand that when you're planting bad seed, then expect the bad harvest. And when you're planting the good seed, expect the good harvest. Know what you're praying for. And again, when we talk about planting the bad seed, that's knowing your surroundings, knowing who you're around, who you're allowing in your ears, what's coming out of your mouth. What are you speaking? So when you say that, let's elaborate just a little bit on planting the bad seed.
Well, we go right in here because Jesus, he lays it all out for us, the parable of the sower. And with that, he said, you want to make sure it falls on good ground because there's stony ground.
Mm.
You want to make sure that it's not falling, because even in your yard, if you were going to do planting and all, you got to pull up all that, got to dig up the dirt, you got to pull up those
Yes.
weeds. And so that when you plant new stuff, it doesn't choke. It does not choke the seed. And
There we
so
go.
when it talks about, you've got to understand that you got to make sure you're sowing in good ground, that is going to produce a harvest. Because what happens is, you know, whether we're speaking it, whether we're planting it, is what we say. And so he allows us to know, even in the word, that whole parable of the sower, that parable, he lays it all out for us. Here we go. And I'm going to read it straight from here. He says, verily, verily, I say unto you, except the corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth much forth fruit. Listen, Jesus in John 12:24 compares his death to a seed that once died, it was planted in the ground, but renewed itself through the plant it generated. And there's where the gospel states. So when you seed into the ground, you have to sow into the right ground, the right soil, so that the conditions of the ground doesn't choke the seed. And so here's the thing, when he lays out the parable of the sower, he says, listen, hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth not, then cometh the wicked one and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. You got to be careful. You see, what's in the people's heart is going to be released. This is he which receives seed by the wayside. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth that word and with joy receive it. He not root in himself, but doeth for a while. For when tribulation and persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended. Listen, but here Jesus paints this all out for us. He also that receives seed among the thorns, he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he become unfruitful. And I ain't saying this, the word is saying this.
The word
but
is saying
he
it.
that
Right,
receiveth seed in the ground is he that heareth the word and understand it, which also beareth fruit and bring forth some 100, some 60, some 30. So listen, he lays it out for us. So you got to be careful of what you're seeding and what you're sowing. Where am I sowing? Am I sowing into good ground? I always tell people this when I used to teach new members, and one of the lessons was tithing and offering. Malachi says, bring ye all tithes into the storehouse. Listen, he lays the promises. I'm going to rebuke the devourer. You're going to be a delightsome blessing. Listen, I'm going to open the windows of heaven. And so here's the thing. He lays it out for us. And so if I'm going out here and I'm sowing into stony ground, if I'm by the wayside and it's not good ground, guess what it's going to produce?
Nothing.
It's not going to be fruitful. He already told us in the word. And so see, this is biblically based. It's based on the word. And so if they have any arguments, you got to go to the word, because you can't argue me because he said it. And so he lays it out for us to follow. This is the blueprint. And so this is how powerful it is. And this is why it is so important, whether I'm sitting with my mouth, my words that I'm releasing, or negativity, or if we're downing people, all of that is seeds being planted.
Yes.
Because then when it comes back, or even as the world would say, karma, you know, when they say what comes around goes around, and then you be wondering, well, why all of this happened? What have you planted? What have you sown? And then when it does, now people don't like that, just like in here, the rule of reciprocity is coming back.
Right. And Dr. Holmes, let me tell you something. It's when planting seeds, it's building relationships. And when you don't know that, when you build relationships, you're planting seed in good ground. You're building good relationships.
Yes.
Then I just posted something on Facebook about how I've gotten 2 offers for someone that wants to host Stomp the Runway for Autism. That's me planting good seed into good ground, and people can see what I'm doing and how I'm trying to give back to the community and help schools and help families, planting seeds. I don't even have to go out and look now. They're coming to me. They are coming to me. I listen.
And that's so powerful right there, Mr. D, because listen, one of my mentors, I co-authored 3 books, and she would always say this to us, Miss Cheryl Williams, always got to give people those, accolades that have been a blessing on my journey, and all those that helped me, even with my books, Aunt Lavoya, Aunt Lady Bragg, and, all of those who've been a blessing on this journey. She said, build solid relationships. Well, the word tells us about relationships. Build solid relationships, because if you serve, you won't have to ask. You serve, you've given, you've planted, you've helped. And because here it is, you've done it. Now the word talks about deceitfulness, what's in the heart. But when you do it with a pure heart and the right motives, that's why I tell people you better check the motives and check the heart. Because if the motives are not right, if the motives are not pure, and that's why you got to have a prayer life and be discerning too. Because what's in people will come out. And so when he allows you, and somebody's always watching, somebody's seeing, and somebody's watching, but they see the work and they're seeing the heart, even when it sometimes look like, Lord, I know this is the vision you gave me. I know this is the dream. I know I'm walking in my purpose, but yet it feels like it's not moving. But guess what? He will send somebody. May not even know you. He may send it through a song. He may send it through a child. He may send it through, you may open up a book and be like, wow,
there's the answer,
through the preacher. He may send it through, my pastor was preaching. I mean, he just really, I just danced for times, got better on Sunday, but he was just preaching like straight to me, like, we're giving and we're sowing. I know God is opening things, and I know he is just like divinely connected me to the people in this season, because of what I want to do for the kingdom, what I want to do for ministry, and my first lady. And a lot of them, that they already know what it is, burn the more, and I tell them every week. But people don't understand the grind. People don't understand the mission, and it's not for them. And it's okay, because he gave it to me. And so when I look on this vision board, he gave all this to me. And you may not understand it, because he didn't give it to you. I know I'm gonna be a billionaire. I know I'm gonna be on Oprah, and I research it. I do it, but I believe it by faith that it's going to happen. And so what do? I put in the work. And so people may see all of this work. Oh, it's going to pay off. Like I told my client, oh, it's going to pay off. You stay determined. You stay focused. He just sent me a message and said, thank you. I needed this in my life. Never met him. But because we were divinely connected, because of the producer said, Eric, I know Dr. Edith is going to be a good fit.
Let me tell you something. You're talking some real stuff. You're talking good stuff. Because I'm going to tell you something. Oh, I'm telling you. I'm going to try to keep my composure here. Listen, I was working with someone else, and they put me and Mike Lee together. And me and Mike Lee didn't know each other. We've never worked together, never even heard of each other. But they put us together. It was divine intervention that they had put us together. He worked so hard, I worked so hard. He saw something in me, I believed in him. And by us coming together, we have produced something new, something fresh, but something real. And he has helped me see a different side of me, of what I'm capable of doing, and says that, that my shows should be on television and I should be on television. And now I speak that and believe that. But putting me and Mike together, it was like, and I know it was only God to do it, because we didn't know each other. It took somebody on the outside to say, you two need to work together. Lined it right up, and it fit like a glove. It was perfect. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to come back, because I want to talk about don't get stuck in the middle of the process, because I think that is so important for us to hear. But again, ladies and gentlemen, you got to get some pen and paper, write down everything that we are talking about today. This is some information that is going to help you through your process, to help you build those relationships. This is Dr. I'm telling you, I'm going to have to keep watching this show over and over and over again. But listen, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. This is Talking with 3D, where real talk is for real people. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back just like that. This is Talking with 3D. Again, I am here with Dr. Eric Holmes. Listen, if you guys, again, I am asking you to make sure, and I'm going to make sure that you know where to get the book. You have to get The Power of the Seed. The Power of the Seed. If you guys don't understand the importance of where you plant your seed, it is so important. The power of the seed, I can't say it more and more, the power of the seed. I want y'all to go out and get it. We got to get this book put on. I know she don't have her book club anymore, but we're going to ask Oprah to open back up her book club so we can get this book on there. Because I'm telling you, if you don't understand how important the power of the seed is, building relationships, knowing the power of your tongue, you have to know, be connected with the right people at the right time. You have to know that it's the right time. You have to know when to move forward. There's Dr. Holmes said, don't get stuck in the middle of the process. And I think that that's where so many of us get stuck. We get stuck in the middle. We got these great ideas in the beginning. We move towards it, and we think we surround ourselves with the right people. And then all of a sudden, people are dropping off. People don't see your vision. People don't want to put money into things because it costs. It costs to do things. So you have people that don't want to do that. You know, I've said this over and over again. You have to surround yourself, and it's not being conceited or anything. Surround yourself with people that have money. Surround yourself with people that have a money mindset. Surround yourself with millionaires and billionaires, because you'll learn how to have money and save money, and how they don't all go out and buy Louis Vuittons. They don't all do that. A lot of this stuff is given to them. So you have to learn these things. But Dr. Holmes, let's talk about don't get stuck in the middle of the process.
Wow, you were saying something so powerful. And I remember sitting in this academy every single, I said to my bishop, I won't be here the weekend, won't be in church. I'm in this academy that I've been blessed to be in. Every single individual was a millionaire and a billionaire. And that's when one of the billionaires said to me, he said, listen, Mr. Hoffman said to me, Dr. E, I love your drive. I love your inspiration. He said, and that's when he kept saying, show up every day. So I surrounded myself. They said, connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me. And I got connected immediately before they finished. I was connected. And I
Right.
won't apologize because I know if the word said, if I
Thank
seek
you.
first the kingdom, if I tithe, seed, and sow, listen, he already said if he gives me the power to get the wealth, and if he can do it for, why wouldn't he do it for me? What I
That's
want
right.
to do for the kingdom, and what I want to do for ministry and my bishop and first lady and to those less fortunate. And he's already laid the principle out for me. He didn't just lay it out for them.
That's
And
right.
I'm following the principles. So that's what I want. And that's what, like you said, surround yourself with people and like-minded, and that can help you. Because one of them said, this is what I want to do for your business. Let me send you this.
Right.
I was blown away because building solid relationship. And I met a lot of them just supporting them on their lives, or if they had free seminars. And a lot of them from all over, every single one of them was a millionaire or a billionaire. But God will sit you in a place of where you're going, when you have that mindset, and when you have what you want to do for kingdom, and that you know that he's going to get the glory. Your pastor years ago, this was so many years ago, taught this lesson. And a lot of times we go through life, and when he found that nickel,
Yes.
Listen, he taught so many wealthy principles years ago, and people didn't grab hold of it. And when they see him now, but it didn't just start just now. He was teaching that all on. It was something when not LCD was that telephone, something came out. This was years ago when I first moved him. Apostle Evans would have him teach these principles, and he was teaching wealth back then.
Yeah.
That was in 92 and 90 when I moved to America, and he was teaching it, but I always followed him. Now, I've always loved Bishop. And I mean, he always encouraged and spoke inspiration and encouragement, but that's why you got to surround yourself with people.
You have to surround yourself. And I like what you said. I don't mean to cut you off, but I like what you said. Don't apologize for it.
No.
Don't feel guilty for it. You have to I mean, at least if you want the mindset of a millionaire, think like a millionaire. Be around the millionaires. See how they live. See how they got there. Don't apologize for it.
No, and here's the thing. When they came on this session, plain as I don't know what. Wasn't nobody all dressed up, all that.
Right.
One had to do a session. They were on vacation, but because he was, one of the other ones asked, could he just give a presentation? He said, but now I got to get back out to the pool. My wife is waiting. Just in jeans, I met so many of it. And here's the thing. That's why they didn't get stuck in them, because they were sharing information with me. They were sharing how they got started, and everybody has a story. And so when you see them, guess what? Like he said, they kept showing up. They didn't get stuck in the middle of the process, because a lot of them, they didn't have no money. I mean, they were sharing like their stories. And I was like, wow, if we share our story, we all going through a process. We all have a story. And so I tell people, here's the motto I say to my team, my LLC: see you at the top, billionaire status, because the bottom is just too crowded. They know the motto. They know to say, and at the end of every message, they say that back to me, and I say it to them. And because I'm not going to have people around me that don't have the mindset that I'm shifted here and I'm going here and I'm putting in the work all along. No, don't apologize. Why? I'm not getting stuck in the middle of the process, because I'll never see the harvest. I'll never see the due season, because just like when God said, he said, how you handle the middle process is going to determine the outcome. Don't get stuck in the middle of it. And a lot of times, if the farmer got stuck here and didn't water it, no matter, it looks like a drought, he's got to find a way, because he's definitely not going to see a harvest if he doesn't find a solution to the problem. We've got to find a solution to the problem. I can't get stuck here. Or it may look like, I'm not going to finish school, so what am I going to just drop out? I know I've been paying for college, but listen, I was going to school, working 2 full-time jobs, and in school full-time, and then ministry, and then balancing life. But guess what? At the end of it, it's worth it all. But you got to know that there's something at the end of it. If I would have got stuck saying, you know what, I'm working this job, I'm in school, I got all these papers, God knows when I was that doctoral program, all these presentations, 3,000 word papers, 25 presentations, and all of it. Yeah, I earned every single thing, and I've worked hard. And so here it is. I couldn't get stuck in the middle process, because I wouldn't have wrote the book. I wouldn't have co-authored all the other books, but I would not be where I am yet to where I'm going. That's why You got to make sure your mindset, but then that's why you got to have people around say, you know what, Mr. D, you got to push a little bit further. Listen,
That's right.
I always say this before that
That's
song
right.
came out. God said, any day, the blessing, the miracle, the harvest, any day. But guess what? In Ezekiel 12:25 said it won't be prolonged, not many days. You got to know it's going to happen if God said it, but you got to keep going. I tell people, push beyond the now to see the end result, victory.
That's
and
right.
That's why you can't get stuck in the middle. Because if I get stuck in the middle, just like Paul and them when the boat was shipwrecked, if they would have just said, listen, I told them you got two things, either swim or sink. Now,
That's right.
they could have either said, listen, we're going to sink, or I'm going to take these boards, these broken pieces, and I'm going to make it to shore. And that's what they did. And so they didn't get stuck because they would have sunk. And so you can't get in the middle process and get stuck. You got to have people that'll push you when you can't push yourself.
You can't push yourself.
Yeah, and so you'll see the end result. It'll be worth, you know, the hard work, the labor. When you start seeing those fruits of the place being successful, being sold out, when you start seeing people that artism, that modeling and everything, and the events being sold out. Yeah,
yes.
Tyler Perry, all of they started out. Guess what? He kept on. He was broke, living in his car. I put an illustration in the book where a lady paid for his food in the store. Yep. Where he was living in his car. But guess what? 20 years later, the seed she planted germinated, because 20 years later, he reached out to her at a pivotal time in her life. She was in foreclosure and lost her job. You already know the rest of the story.
Yeah. And you know, I'm so glad that you even brought that up, because a lot of people don't go to my stage place and everything and say, you know, you're the next Tyler Perry. And I always tell them, I thank you for saying that. But see, Tyler Perry's Tyler Perry. I am the Derek Darrell Dixon. Because see, I don't want to go through what Tyler Perry has gone through. I don't want to live in my car. I don't want to be homeless. So therefore, I look at his story and say, okay, God, all right, I see what he went through, but I got to work hard for who I am and where I'm at. You learn from, and they open doors and pave the ways, you know, for us. Thank God for that. But the thing is that I always see that as a model of getting stuck in the middle, because if I think I'm Tyler Perry, and the fact that I don't, all of a sudden, I don't have Tyler Perry studio, and I don't have Tyler Perry getting my things getting on the big screen and everything, I'm stuck in the middle. Because of that, I stopped believing in me, Derek Darrell Dixon, and started thinking, because I have a mindset, oh, I'm going to have what Tyler Perry has. No, you have what God has for Derek Dixon. Yes, it's okay for you to think like that. It's okay for you to believe in yourself like that. It's all right to look at people and say, you know what? I believe I can have that status. I believe I can strive for that. Strive for it. And don't live the fact that you think that you're going to have exactly what you don't know their story. You don't know what they've been through. So when I tell people, no, I'm not Tyler Perry, because I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to live in my car. He has come a long ways. And I say, man, I give him all his flowers, all accolades, everything. He's worked hard for what he has. But now I'm going to work hard for what God has for me. So I just say that, just encourage people, what's for you is for you, is for you.
Because here's the thing, you probably couldn't handle their story or their situation. I don't want to be, you know, they say, you know, experience it. No, I don't want to experience some of the things that they have. I have my own story, but I have my own mindset. But it, like you said, there's nothing wrong with saying, well, you know, they can inspire you to push. They can inspire you, you know, to want to strive and to, you know, knowing that you can overcome and be great and all that. But here's the thing, you better make sure one is focused on what God gave you. All of this on this vision board is what he gave me. You didn't get it to Tyler Oprah. I may have her on here, but it's as a research that I did in her journey, how she got successful, you know, and the encouragement, but yet and still, this is written out to me, what God gave me. All of this, so I can't, you know, I've got to know what he gave me, because if
That's
I
right.
did, I remember saying to one of the editors of a book, I said, it's okay for you to say maybe this line may go here, but I'm not going to deviate for what God gave me, especially when it's based out of the word.
Yes.
Now, if you're going to do, we're going to have to move along, because I'm not, because if I go deviating from what he gave me, there's nothing wrong if the sentence might have been over here or however. I'm not, especially when it's coming right from the word, and I know it's word from word in the word in that scripture. I'm not going to deviate, or I'm gonna have to go with somebody else.
Right.
I'm not. You can help, and that's what you do. You know, professionalism and all of that. But I'm not going to deviate for what he gave me. And so my mind, I know what he told me. I know the promises and what he said in his word, but I know even from the prophetic declarations that Apostle Evans gave me and from my Bishop Pender, I know it. And so I'm moving what God said to them for me. And so here it is. I'm putting in the work, and I'm not going to deviate and thinking, you know, well, this person, no, I don't know it. I tell people this, you don't know what it costs to get it. You don't know what it costs to maintain it, and you don't know what it costs to keep it, and you don't know what they had to go through to get there.
That's
you don't
right.
want to do that because you may not handle it.
Right. Because a lot of people always come to me and they say, oh, I would love to adopt 3 kids or, you know, children and stuff. And I said, because you make it look so easy, you don't know what I had to go through. You don't. And I may make it look easy and everything. And I says, but you know what? God had a purpose and a reason for me to have my boys. But you don't know my story of how I got there. So you sometimes, again, watch what you ask for, because you never know somebody's story.
You don't know.
You never know nobody's story. Listen, tell everybody where they can get the power of the seed.
You can, the Power Seed is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target website, Walmart's website, or just contact me. Or if you're just in the Baltimore area, you can go to the libraries. I know they might still be closed or however this whole pandemic, but they are also in the libraries, or just message me. I can sign a copy, mail it to you, meet you, you know, and they're available any way that might be convenient for you.
And where do we contact you?
My email is elynk1306@gmail.com, or on any of the social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and you can find me on any of those and contact me, and we can go from there.
I'm telling y'all, if y'all need inspiration, if you need a word, if you need just someone just to be connected to, Dr. Eric Holmes is that person. And I'm telling you, just by having him on my show, I came on the show tonight exhausted and tired from just, you know, coming off of a stage play, and then the month before that, I did the fashion show for autism awareness. So it's just like just being drained. But tonight, I felt like I was stuck in the middle all of a sudden. But tonight, I understood my purpose. I understood why I do what I do and why I do what I do. You know, and sometimes you need to hear it from other people, and it's okay. It's okay. You need to hear it from other people. I don't care who it is, but sometimes those words of encouragement will push you to your next level. So listen to sometimes what people have to say, but know that it's good seed being planted. You know the bad seed from the good seed, but know that that good seed that's being planted in you is going to grow and it's going to flourish. So Dr. Eric Holmes, I appreciate you. I love you. I just thank God for you being a part of my life, because again, you always need someone in your circle that can give you a lot of times what you can't give yourself. You know, so I think it's so important. So we thank God for you. Ladies and gentlemen, don't get stuck in the middle of your process. do not get stuck in the middle of your process. You know, you have to keep striving. You have to keep pushing, because on the other side, when you know that you planted that seed, it is so worth it. I'm telling you. A lot of times they always say the grass is greener on the other side. But let me tell you something. If you plant that seed right, oh, that grass is going to be green.
Yes.
You know, and it's okay to enjoy it. I want to thank you again, Dr. Eric Holmes, for being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to Talking with 3D, where real talk is for real people. We will see you next week right here on Plushworks TV. Have a good night. Dr. Eric Holmes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. D. Appreciate it. Much success, blessings, and favor. And the best is yet to come. The latter shall be greater. Keep doing what you're doing. And yes, you're walking in your purpose. I teach a session called Walking in Your Purpose. Keep doing what God called you to do, no matter what nobody else is. Focus on what he gave you, and you'll see the end result. You'll see the promise. You'll see the blessing. And you're seeing the fruit now because he's allowing you to see sold out to where you're going to have to go to a bigger venue. So keep doing what you're doing, and always know I'm praying for you.
And that's the word. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
All right. Be blessed.